Okay, y'all. Let's look at what I got from the Ohio Bookstore. Okay, let's get started. I'm looking through you. This is some kind of like memoir meets like just storytelling. It's like written like a narrative, like a story. Trans woman, never heard of this author before. It was in the ghosts section, so, but not in the fiction section. So it's one of these, like, we're gonna see. Very excited. Something to do with like literal haunting and then feeling haunted in your body, like the ethics of haunting. Cool. Bushido. Nice. The spirituality and way of life of the Japanese samurai and Japanese culture. Curiosity. Ooh. The Yenin way. Yeah. It's actually like anti-communist, communist slash ex-communist writing from someone who like lived in communist countries. I think he's either from Peru, yeah, born in Peru, and you know, saw communism as it rose up in Latin America, saw it in Russia, like went and traveled in Russia and stuff. I have a lot of pro-communist and like pro-socialist books, so I felt it was really important to add some context and contrast to that, because I do not subscribe to any isms. However, I love to know about the things because we gotta know. Okay? Everything is just trial and error, and one needs balance. Okay. These are 2 books of poetry that I'm excited. 2 new female poets that I've never heard of. This one's Appalachian. This one is American, Korean, and Chinese. Bow. Also, I'll have you know, this book's like $3.50. This book was like $6. The Yen and Wei was $7. So yeah, like the most expensive book I bought was $7.50. So, this is the $7.50 book. Yeah, big boy-ish, big-ish. This is the leaked footage of that. Bugged conversations of Nazi soldiers with one another throughout all of World War I and World War II. British intelligence got a hold of a lot of these, and some other spies from other countries, and yeah, and it does a, let's see. Soldaten closely examines these conversations and the casual, pitiless brutality omnipresent in them from a historical and psychological perspective. What factors led to the degradation of the soldiers' sense of awareness and morality? How much did their social environments affect their interpretation of the war and their actions during combat? And by reconstructing the frameworks and situations behind these conversations and the context with which they were spoken, a powerful, unflinching narrative of wartime experience emerges. Cool. So there's that. Physics. Yes. Very excited about this, and actually I realized I lied. This was the most expensive book I bought. It's $12, which, fuck 12, but also a really good number for like what's in here. It's like a fun art poem slam thing, all made from the spines of books and book quotes. So this author, who is an author in her own right, took her massive book collection and all the time that they've been inside libraries and bookstores and stuff, and made like spine stack poetry. Like these things, like this is a poem, as well as like titles of books, and then all of these over here are like quotes from books or like funny little things that happen in literature that also like amalgamate to a poem, and they like share themes. Very fun. Very fun. Secular art with sacred themes. I think this cover is cool. It's an art history book before it's all banned, you know, or before all the museums are blown up and so you can't see these things anymore, you know what I'm saying? Got those for the grandkids, but first I'd have to have kids, which I haven't decided about that yet. But anyway, moving on to people who all of their children, well, not all, but a lot of their children were freaking eradicated, and we need to hear their stories from their freaking voices. An Indigenous people's history of the United States. Very excited for this one. Also written with both white folks and Indians, because that's what they're called in this book, because it was written in 1935. The Gospel of the Red Man. And I like read this before I bought it because I was like, what the heck, 1935 language is weird, like what are we talking about? Yeah, and it's the Indian Bible, so it's like all of their values and traditions based on like the tribes, like all the way down to like cleanliness practices and how they differ from each other, and like the mass overlap, and then how like Quakers and Christianity and like even Judaism are all like, bro, what? Like, that's what we were doing. Because indigenous knowledge is universal. And we should honestly quit acting like it's so brand fucking new, because it's not. My muffins. Please pause. Muffins. Okay, I'm back. The muffins are cooling and we're almost done. Another art history book that I really love the pictures of, again, just in case all the museums are blown the fuck up. And don't look at me like it couldn't happen, okay? It's happened in damn near every single war, okay? Museums, cultural centers, libraries, hospitals, freaking archives of all kinds, obliterated. Don't get me started. It literally makes me cry. A fiction novel because it looked interesting, and I'm a Scorpio, and boom. It's called Summoned. In the future, a government plan goes awry. Only the evil will suffer. Cool. Written by Stan the Man. Let's go. Women of the West. Lots of pictures of indigenous and like black families, and like lots of quotes and journal entries, like of what women were writing about what they did during this time. And like, you know, we need to see our history. You see what I'm saying? So look it up. Reservations. They even have like boarding school photos when they took all the various Asian and immigrants and then natives, and they threw them in all these shitty ass boarding camps that literally erased their culture and caused a ton of generational trauma that we have yet to adequately like even acknowledge, let alone repair to this day. This I got it from my sister because she's a social worker and she's working on her PhD. The Birth of the Family and Children's Service, from 1885 to 1985. So 100 years of looking at like the legislature that brought this about, like our current way of like social services and like systemic care. A Lesson Before Dying. This one I think I got in the Black literature section, and it's A Lesson Before Dying is set in a small Cajun community in the late 1940s. Jefferson, a young black man, is an unwitting party to a liquor store shootout in which 3 men are killed. The only survivor, he is convicted of murder and sentenced to death. Grant Wiggins, who left his hometown for the university, has returned to the plantation school to teach. As he struggles with his decision whether to stay or escape to another state, his aunt and Jefferson's godmother persuade him to visit Jefferson in his cell and impart his learning and his pride to Jefferson before his death. In the end, the two men forge a bond as they both come to understand the simple heroism of resisting and defying the expected. I was like, heartbreaking and uplifting? Sign me up. Last two. The Temptation of the West. This is a French author who tackled his own like philosophy battle in a very French way, where they like created this faux narrative of two people writing letters back and forth, and it's a Frenchman writing to a Chinaman and a Chinaman writing to a Frenchman, and they're like talking about the ills of both their cultures, and like through that he's trying to like understand his like issues with the West and like how to stop romanticizing other things, because clearly nobody's perfect, but like we have to improve or go somewhere, do something. This was written, it's old. This was published in 1961, but the author was born in 1901 in Paris. So he was 60 when he's writing this. So like, and a lot happened from 1901 to 1960. Like, wow. Okay. This one I got for free because the binding apparently was bad, but I really like it. And I got this in the physics section, and it's called How Old is the Earth? And I thought that was really cute. And it's got like pictures, like science and stuff. But yeah, it talks about like the structure of the Earth, radioactivity, like geologic time, memorable dates in Earth history, and like how the Earth began, like when it was, you know, a ball of fire, and then rain came out of outer space, and then life was born from the water that came from outer space. Don't get me started. Anyway, yeah, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 books for the price of $112 after tax, $112.50. I'm so excited. Thanks for being here. I hope you have a great day.